What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be talking about how it's just over for you, and it's over for all of us. And you just kind of have to accept that, you know. I mean, I'm not like going full MGTOW or anything ridiculous like that, like hardcore coping. Um, More like MSTOW, men sent their own way, or missed out. That's more like the reality of it. And I guess it's all right. I guess it's all right, just kind of doing what I'm doing, working and doing this YouTube thing and starting starting another business. And I don't know. I mean, there's really not much else to do because like social circles are completely uh, like non-existent. Like I don't think they really exist anymore outside of like school. Um, I mean, work is all remote now, so it's like that doesn't exist unless you have a very low job or whatever, like a low entry job or whatever, where it's like manual labor or something. Then yeah, you can have like a tight knit group, or if like you're in the police force or the military or something kind of like that, where it's more like blue collar, or if you're I don't know doing something on electric grids or something. But yeah, for the most part, everyone else, it's just like if you're full remote, or if you're full remote, then work social circle is completely over, like 100%. Um, but if you're in office, then it's basically like 95% over anyway, because it's like if you hit on like a Becky, or if you hit on really any girl, I mean that's like not a great idea, like you're really causing a lot of trouble there, to be honest. I mean, your reputation is not going to be good, and then if you do it another time, your reputation is going to be terrible. Um, and yeah, I mean, it could literally result in you getting fired if you like hit on girls in the office. I would say there might be some exceptions for some of those more like younger offices for like maybe tech startups or like big companies like Google. I hear that there's like a lot of young people at some of those places. So like I would say maybe in that unique specific company scenario where it's mostly young people, like the overwhelming majority, um, I would say there's some more lenience there, because it's kind of like if they have an environment of college, but like post college, if that's kind of the vibe, then I would say it would be more acceptable to ask out or hit on the girls there if it was a big enough company in a different department. I heard like Indeed.com, I think it was, or no, Salesforce.com, I think it was. Um, they had like yearly company meetings, and there's a lot of beautiful girls, and it would kind of just be like a, fraternization party of sort. And I've also heard some companies like encourage, couples to meet each other at the company. Um, So I think it definitely depends, but I would say that like that aspect is definitely very, very rare. First off, it's only at very select specific companies that are large enough to facilitate um, essentially giving men the opportunity to have ambiguity, right? It needs to have like thousands of employees, or at least a lot, where it's like if you say something to a girl, the entire company isn't going to know about it because it's just a large company, right? So it needs to have that. And then on top of that, it needs to have a very young demographic of workers, which, I mean, you're kind of really only going to be a few companies at that point, which are big, big tech companies, or maybe some sort of startups that are just more casual in their working space. Um, and yeah, I mean, a lot of those jobs, especially they'll be filled by like recent graduates and stuff like that. So I'm not saying it's impossible to get a job like that. I would say that it's definitely possible, even plausible to get a job like that. But I would just say that like going for a job because of that is probably a terrible idea, because you really can't know what the environment would be like necessarily going there. And yeah, I mean, it's better to just pick your job for other reasons, to be quite honest, because if you pick your job for like to be able to go to like a yearly party, um yeah, I mean, you're kind of setting yourself up for failure and HR complaints as well at that point anyway. So probably not the best thing to do. But yeah, so it's basically over for worker cells, worker bee cells. um, and again, that's if like you're not full remote, because that aspect, again, it's still dying out. All those companies where, I mean, those exact companies, they used to have a lot of in-office jobs. Now they don't actually. So that's the one and only real avenue is actually dying out exponentially fast. So it used to be 95%, but now it's just, even rapidly getting closer and closer to 99.9999%, right? Um, but yeah, so the social circle, it's kind of basically over as far as I'm concerned. I mean, there may be some people that have a really good social circle. I'm not sure. Um, but one issue with it is that it's very high risk. So if like, for example, let's say you do have a good social circle. Let's say I mean, let's say it's split like 50-50 girls and guys. Like, I would say that's definitely a possibility. Approximately 50-50, maybe it's 60-40 one way or the other. I would say that's like a possibility. I would say that the more probable thing would be like an 80-20 male social circle with a few girls. I would say that's probably more probable. But let's say like there is a more or less 50-50 split of guys and girls. So, there's maybe like 10 plus or minus. So there's like 8-12 or 8-15 or 6-15 in the group. There's a few cliques within the bigger clique, something like that, right? And let's say like the hobby is around X hobby. It doesn't really matter what it is, right? It's kind of irrelevant. We're just talking about the dating aspect of it, so it could be like, I don't know, church, it could be hiking, it could be some table game like I don't know, Dungeons and Dragons. That's kind of a joke at this point. Like I don't play that, but I mean, I don't know. I feel like I've heard that. It's kind of like a meme. Or it could be some sort of other sporting thing like volleyball or something, whatever it is. Anyway, when the rubber meets the road, like, yes, there will be relationships that come out of this, potentially. But don't think it's going to be you. Don't think it's going to be you. It's not going to be you that's getting them. So just keep that in mind. And also, the danger with it is that if you hit on the girls in your social circle, you will literally just ruin the entire relationship with the entire social circle. So, uh, it's kind of the same idea with The Office. Basically, like if you hit on a girl, it's not going to be an HR complaint, but word is going to get around. They're going to tell their female friends, and the female friends are going to tell the other guys, and the other guys are going to be like, you kind of pissed off this girl. Like, that's not cool, bro. Like something like that. And then if you ask out, more like multiple women in the group, then you literally just going to like completely demonize your reputation. So you really only have like one opportunity, maybe two max, before it's kind of over. Maybe with the exception of like if there's a new girl that enters the group, then it's kind of like essentially free reign for people to hit on her, I would say, to some extent. But other than that, there's, the long-standing females in the group, you have like one or two, chances. Because, yeah, after that, you're just going to start getting a bad reputation and, it could be just exiled from the group essentially for just like bad conduct, right? Um, and so that's why it's like the social circle maxing. I mean, it's definitely valid. I would say it's like, I would say it's kind of delusional though, because like to think that like these thriving social circles are like such a big thing and that, there's just so many girls at them. And then you have all this opportunity to hit on these girls. It's really not the case. It's more like what I said earlier. Like if you're lucky, it's an 80-20 split of guys, 80%, girls, 20%. And if you're extra lucky, those girls aren't already, taken or whatever. Um, and then it's basically going to be those like 2 to 4 girls, and that's it. So if those 2 to 4 girls aren't attracted to you, you have zero prospects. So that's why it's kind of just like delusional to say, oh yeah, bro, just like social circle max. It's like, yeah, I mean, that's not bad advice per se, but like you have to understand that like you're going to spend 6 to 18 months building friendships with these people on an ongoing basis, spending every single week with them over and 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 over again, just to get the opportunity to essentially talk to like about 4 girls max, that half of them potentially will already have boyfriends, and then the other half potentially probably won't be attracted to you. So the ROI on time, the amount of work you have to put in to be able to get that amount of output is absolutely asinine. And, like I said, it's just basically over. And it kind of just goes into a similar facet of doing like cold approach. The amount of time and effort it takes to like put in just to like get one number is absolutely insane. You have to literally spend hours and hours and weeks cold approaching girls and talking to girls just to get a number. And the best part is the number is meaningless nowadays. A number today is literally like 99%. It's a soft rejection. It's just a way for her to like not, upset you in the moment right now when we're talking, so that you can later just get ignored or rejected, but usually just ignored. And that's really what a number is. It's just an escape from the conversation. It's not really like, here's my number, I'd love to see you. It's more like, here's my number, have a nice day, and then blocks you or something, or just keeps your messages coming so she can read them and laugh and screenshot them and send them to her friends about, you're gesture maxing about what you're saying in the text. That's really all it is, at the end of the day. And mind you, this is like after spending hours and hours. It's like a part-time job doing cold approach, and then you get nothing out of it except for like, if you do get numbers after like, an X amount of hours put in, like a decent amount of time, money spent. If you're going to bars, especially, then that's like money down the drain, plus gas, plus DUI risk. Yeah, I mean, it's just the juice ain't worth the squeeze. You know what I mean? At that point, like, I'm spending the equivalent to what could be basically a part-time job, and I'm spending it just wasting my time, money, and energy, talking to girls that aren't interested in me. And aside from the part where it's like I could just be doing something better with my time, even if it's like a pointless hobby that I would personally enjoy, or just like getting a part-time job myself, or starting a business, or just working out, or doing anything else. Instead, I'm spending it doing this garbage, which like honestly, like running game, it's like I feel like it's like adjacent to gesture maxing. It's literally like, oh hey girl, how are you, girl? Oh hey, it's literally just like, I'm catching your attention. Look at me, give me attention. Do you think you like me? I feel like it's like adjacent to gesture maxing to some degree, but that's a whole nother discussion, I guess. Um, but the other part of like cold approach is just like the fact of it being so demoralizing, like having to, spend all this time and sometimes money and a lot of energy talking to these girls just to get completely rejected over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Um, yeah, I mean, it's just demoralizing, I mean, like, who would want that? Who would want every single one of your tries to just continually add up, and just it's just more insurmountable evidence of how over it is for you, which you already knew, and it's like, why would you want to like beat yourself up when you're down? Like if you get thrown to the ground and then the other person just walks away, are you gonna like punch yourself in the face? That's literally what you're doing when you're like doing cold approach. You're literally just like, you got thrown to the ground when you were born because you're ugly, and now you're just like you're like torturing yourself. You're like punching yourself in the face, um, because you're just putting yourself um, through just like rejection over rejection. And it's just very demoralizing to not only face the reality of how over it is, how no girl is even remotely interested in you. It's just like, it's like I'm paying to do that. It would be one thing, right? It would be one thing if like, like, I would say probably what, 10, 20 years ago, you can get rejected by girls here and there, just like in your day-to-day life or something. at work or at school or, out and about or in various social circles that used to exist, like, I would say, like, that's way less demoralizing than, like, running game, because you're, like, spending hours going to the bar, spending hours, talking to girls, spending hours doing whatever, uh, and spending money sometimes just to literally get rejected. And it's like, that's the difference, is that, like, the amount of effort you're putting into that, and the amount of, like, output you're getting, like, the juice just ain't worth the squeeze, like, um, yeah, I mean, might as well just do something else. So, it's just really over, I mean, like, when you think about it, man, and what it's really just come down to is just like chads with harems of girls. That's kind of just where we're at, and it doesn't matter how much cold approach you do. It doesn't matter how many swipes on Tinder you do. It doesn't matter how much social circle maxing you think you can attempt. It doesn't matter, what kind of online communities you think you can get e-girls from or whatever. Um, you know, the fact of the matter is that all these girls, every single one of them, if they have an internet connection, they can get any guy on the planet. They can get any guy in the country. They can get any guy in the state. They can get any guy in the city. Why would they go for you when someone else is hitting them up? It just doesn't make sense logically. Unless it's like a really strong social circle and she knows you quite well for some time, that is really I would say, one of the only, foots in the door for you. But like, like I said earlier, you have to invest 6 to 18 months to even like start to really make friends that are like genuine. And then on top of that, the pool of women is just so small. So if those girls aren't attracted to you or they already have boyfriends, you just wasted 18 months essentially with a social circle of friends that you're not going to get a girlfriend out of. And I mean, I'm not saying that's a total waste. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying, like, one of the main goals of doing it is not being accomplished. So now you have to go somewhere else. Maybe you stay with that first friend group as well, and that's fine, and y'all have a good time. But you still have to go to a second friend group to find a girlfriend, right? And then that turns into three years at that point, and you just went to two different social circles, or maybe three or four or whatever. Maybe you can run through them a little bit quicker, but hopefully you see what I'm saying. I mean, the amount of time that it goes into that. I mean, by the time you find a decent prospect for a girlfriend, you're going to be 35. You're going to be showering in tactical soap and uh, dyeing your gray hairs. So yeah, I mean, at this point, it's just like accepting that it's over and just doing what I'm doing and just moving forward and just living life. So it's just not really a MGTOW, like I said at the beginning of this video, but just, I don't know, man. I mean, I'm still like improving myself, but at the same time, I think at this point, I'm just like, I've kind of just come to the conclusion that it's really never going to happen. So at least I can, feel comfortable with that, you know.